sun to shine. You've been waiting for a new connection, but you're walking on the same old line. You've been waiting so long, or can you wait a single minute more? You've been waiting so long, you just don't know what you are waiting for.
Well, Women for Independence is a group of women that's growing, of women who probably thought around about the same time that there was a need for women to organise together themselves independently for their own independent voice and the independence debate, because I think all of us were a bit fed up that any time the independence referendum was being discussed on programmes like Newsnight or other political programmes, it was invariably middle-aged white men talking through a party political viewpoint, and it was already very polarised and very much about a Punch and Judy exchange, and there wasn't any real discussion that was illuminating anything for anybody, and certainly wasn't addressing women's questions or concerns. And so we're women who want independence, but we understand that you're not going to persuade women or anybody else to vote for independence by banging them over the head, telling them why it's good for them. So we're about being inclusive and listening to women to try and identify what the questions and concerns are, and hopefully answer them and have a discussion that will allow us to have the means by which we can persuade women that independence will be better for Scotland.
I got involved because I've been involved politically on the left for a few years, and I feel that women's voices are a bit excluded there, and particularly once you started to see the coverage of the independence debate, it was all Alex Salmond, David Cameron, all of Scotland's people were excluded really, but particularly women's voices. Women have got so much to offer, and we're more than half the population. Our voices should be heard in the debate, and our aspirations for what we want Scotland to be should be getting heard at this stage if we want to have a Scotland afterwards that is at all going to be the kind of Scotland that women want to live in.
It's very easy for women's voices to get lost in the political debate. Quite often, if you listen at Westminster or even Holyrood, it just seems like a competition to see who can shout the loudest and shout other people down, be the most insulting. I think that puts a lot of women off in many ways. So I think Women for Independence is good because it gives us a space to actually have our voices heard without that horrible yaboo politics going on, without that shouting down of people. It's a very exciting initiative.
It's a necessary platform, it's a safe environment. Women can speak through the internet, through forums. They can ask questions that they think are important to them, which men might see as trivial, but could mean quite a lot to women if they're explained to them in a language that they understand. So that's why I think it's very important to have Women for Independence.
I feel that women traditionally poll against independence, even though independence will bring a lot of things I think would be positive for a lot of the women's causes, such as equality and fairness. I think that something like the Women's for Independence group is vital for showing women what actually independence could provide for them.
I think our new Scotland, when we re-establish our Parliament, that's a whole new opportunity for all of us to start with a clean slate and doing everything better because people will be invigorated.
For me, it's about basic democracy. The people of Scotland should control the decisions and everything that affects the people of Scotland, and the United Kingdom doesn't allow that. For decades, successively, we've had governments that we haven't voted for. And even when we get a Labour government, which Scotland has voted for, Labour Party are under so much pressure from the right wing in England that their policies become diluted. We have the potential to do better and change with an independent Scotland, but there'll be lots of women who don't agree with how I see an independent Scotland and what I want to fight for in an independent Scotland. I would want to see our constitution set up to guarantee women 50-50 representation in all our institutions, for example. But I completely understand that that's just my view, and I'm really excited about being in a space where women feel able and safe to express a view that may be the exact opposite to mine, but their voice will be heard.
Well, I support independence because I really think we should be running our own affairs in Scotland. See other small countries like Norway, Sweden, Iceland, Ireland, they've all had difficult times recently, but they're all pulling through, they're way ahead.
Devolution has protected us a wee bit, but it does only partially protect us. Things like pensions and benefits, nuclear weapons, the military. I want Scotland never to be able to go to war again unless there's a referendum. The Director of Social Work in Glasgow said that there's going to be £100 million worth of benefit cuts in Glasgow alone, and it's mainly going to be women and their families that are affected. So all these kind of things, I think that the decisions should be taken locally and democratically by the people of Scotland.
For me, the current setup is absurd because you've got a world where nations are interconnected, where all the nations of the world working together on issues like people trafficking, which is a huge problem, like the environment. We have the European Union, so many decisions and issues coming from there. The world is increasingly about countries working together. See, to me, it makes no sense. It's patently absurd that Scotland, alone among nations, should take its voice, take its sovereignty, put it down in London and ask them to do it on our behalf. I think Scotland needs its own voice in the world. It needs its sovereignty back in order to negotiate with that in the European Union, in the big issues we're all facing, immigration, world poverty. Why on earth would we take our power, our sovereignty as a nation and subcontract it via London? To me, independence is simply logical in terms of how the world is developing.
Unite against these men that are making all the decisions that change our lives. Today is a day, the start of the rest of my life, that hopefully I will make changes in every part of my life to be heard, to be independent, to be strong. Now it's your chance. So join us, Women for Independence, here we go.
All we need to look at is our oil, our renewables, our tourism, our whisky exports. Like, we can do it alone.
We have made such amazing progress so far. She really inspires me to support independence because it is such an important issue. The progress is incredible from the 60s to now, where it's actually going to happen. So you should support independence.
Guys are always telling us that we're good with our tongues, good at gabbing, so let's get the women of Scotland talking. Hi, I'm Nicole Murphy, I'm from Johnston and I support independence.
It's a passion, it's a feeling, it's something, it feels right and it feels right now. That's why I support independence.
Me and people who think like me, who think that Scottish independence would be a good thing and should happen. There's a lot of optimism and excitement in the future, and right now I am excited about the future and hope we get the yes vote in 2014.
We don't want to wait to be asked to be involved. We don't want to wait for permission to be involved in the debate. We will be involved in the debate and we will be heard.
You've been looking to the distant skyline, looking like you've lost your way. You've been looking so hard for something, your eyes are getting sore. You've been looking so hard, you just don't know, but you